After everything, after all these weeks of it, I still cannot tell you what an electron actually is. I can tell you what it does. Set one loose and it spreads out, wide and soft, like a wave rolling across open water. Then it strikes something and it's a speck, one hard dot in one single place, like a flung grain of sand. So which of the two is the true face, and which is only the mask? A wave or a particle? It's the last night, and that is the one plain thing I've climbed this hill to hear you finally say.
Then plainly you'll have it. It's the last night, and I'll keep nothing back from you now. But steady yourself, because the true answer is not either of the two you're holding out to me. It isn't the speck, it isn't the wave. It's neither, and it's a stranger, lovelier thing than either one you came here clutching. There is a third kind of thing lying under the whole world, and an electron is one of them, and naming it, at long last, is the whole of what I've kept back for tonight.
A third thing. You've sat me down by this fire week after week after week, and never once breathed a word of a third thing.
I never breathed a word of it because I was dodging you, and the confession has to come before the answer. Every week, in one shape or another, you have asked me this very thing, and every single week I slipped clean out from under it. You never once caught me at it.
You? Dodged? You've answered everything I ever threw at you. What have you been dodging?
The only one that really matters. Every week you've asked me, in one shape or another, what the electron actually is, and every week I've told you what it does. It spreads like a wave. It lands like a speck. It's a smear until you look at it. And you've nodded and gone home, and I've let you believe that was an answer. It never was. I told you the electron's manners. I never once told you the thing itself.
Oh, that's... After 14 weeks, you tell me this now? You spent the whole first month beating it into my skull that the electron is a wave and a particle, both at once. Live with the headache, you said. Stop asking which. And now, on the very last night, you're going to lean over the fire and tell me it was neither.
Neither. It was a third thing all along. And here is the mercy of it. The third thing is simpler than either ghost I set you chasing. Not a wave that is also somehow a lump. Not a lump that is also somehow a wave. One thing of one kind that naturally spreads out and naturally arrives in a lump. Because that is simply what this kind of thing does. You've spent 14 weeks trying to force it into two boxes it was never once inside.
All right, I'm braced. What's the third thing?
To get there, I have to widen the picture wider than I ever have. Forget the electron for a breath. Forget the particle entirely. I want you to look instead at the space it sits in. The empty room, the plain nothing between things. Because that is where the whole answer has been hiding. Not in the speck, in the room.
The empty room. You want me to stare at the nothing, and not the something.
I want you to stop believing in the nothing. That's the first stone we kick over tonight. You picture space as a bare stage, an empty floor, and particles are the actors who walk on and walk off it. And when they've all left, the stage stands empty. That picture is wrong. It's wrong in the deepest way anything in this course has been wrong. The stage is not empty. The stage is not even a stage.
Then what is it if it isn't a stage?
It's an ocean. Or better, a whole set of oceans, laid one straight through another, filling every last scrap of space there is. Invisible, still looking, stretched through the entire universe with no edge to them and no gap. And everything you have ever called a particle, everything that you yourself are built from, is a ripple running across one of them. That is the third thing. Not a wave, not a ball, a ripple in a field.
A field. You've used that word before and I let it slide past me. Say plainly what you mean by it. A field.
Take the plainest place you know it from. Hold a compass anywhere in this room, and the needle swings round and points the same way. Something is there, in the air, in the seeming empty space. No wire, no string, nothing your eye can catch, and it has a direction and a strength at every single point of the room. That something at every point of space is a field. It's there whether or not a compass sits in it to feel it. Now take that idea and make it the very floor of the world.
A field, then, is just a something spread out through empty space that a thing dropped into it can feel.
A something at every point, humming there whether anything rides it or not. And I'm telling you, there is one of these for electrons. A single electron field, stretched through all of space, sitting in every cubic inch of this room, under the table, out past the last of the stars. Most of it is flat, calm, nothing riding it at all.
And where it isn't flat,
Where it lifts, where a lump of wave rises up out of that flat ocean and holds itself together and travels. That lump, that raised place, is what you have spent your life calling an electron. The electron is not a thing sitting in space. It's a thing that is happening to the electron field.
so when you say an electron, you're not pointing at a marble sitting somewhere in the room, you're pointing at a swell, a raised place on an ocean that was already everywhere.
A swell on an ocean that was already everywhere. And the ocean doesn't merely carry the electron. It is the electron, heaped up for a moment in one region. Flatten the swell, and there's no electron there anymore, only the calm field lying quiet. Lift a swell somewhere else, and there's your electron again, over there now. The particle is a behavior of the field, not a passenger riding on it.
And light? You've been promising me all series that light comes into this somewhere.
Light is the very same story, in its own ocean. There's another field, the electromagnetic one, laid right through the same space, and a ripple in that field is what you call a photon, a particle of light. Hold that one gently in your other hand, because I am coming back to it at the end of the night. And when I do, it's going to shut a door you've had standing open a very long time. For now, matter is ripples in the matter fields, and light is ripples in the light field. Everything that is anything is a ripple in some ocean.
And how many of these oceans are there? If there's one for electrons and one for light, am I about to be handed a list as long as my arm?
A shorter list than you'd fear, and that's a wonder in itself. One ocean for each kind of thing there is. One for the electron, one for light, a handful of others for the other families of matter. Not a field for every particle, a field for every type, and the whole world runs on a short roster of them. Few enough oceans that you could hold the lot of them in your head at once, and every star and stone written out of just those.
Now, hold on. You've said quantized ripple twice and slid straight past it both times. On a real ocean, on water, a ripple can be any size at all. A little one, a great one, anything in between. What's that word quantized doing sitting in there?
You caught the load-bearing word. Good. That word is the grain. It's the thing we have called quantum since the very first night of this course. On these fields, you cannot raise a ripple of any old size you fancy. The field will only hold a ripple in whole lumps. One full ripple, two full ripples. Never a ripple and a half. There is a smallest allowed swell, 1 unit, and every excitation the field carries is a whole number of those. Never a fraction of one.
And that smallest allowed swell, one whole lump of the electron ocean, that's 1 electron. That's the electron.
That's 1 electron. That is exactly why you never in your life find half an electron, or an electron and a third. The field simply does not offer it. And it's the same reason, run all the way to the bottom, that Planck first found the world came in grains. Energy handed out in whole steps, never a smooth ramp. The graininess of everything, the thing this whole course was named after, comes down in the end to just this. The oceans only ripple in whole units.
Which means the quantum in quantum mechanics turns out, at the last, to be a fact about ripples, that they come in whole numbers and never in halves.
At the last, yes. And now watch what this does to the argument that's chased you since week 2. The wave and the particle, the fight you could never settle. It doesn't get answered. It dissolves. Ask it of a ripple, and it simply stops being a question worth the breath.
Show me. Ask it of a ripple.
Does a ripple spread out across the ocean, roll through 2 gaps at once, overlap with itself, make those bands of bright and dark? Of course it does. It's a ripple. Spreading is the most natural thing it knows how to do. And does that same ripple also arrive in one whole indivisible lump, one unit, landing at a single spot? Of course, because the ocean only ripples in whole units. Spreading and lumping were never once at war. They are 2 things the very same ripple does, without the least strain.
So all those weeks I spent white-knuckling the paradox, how can one thing be spread out and be a lump? I was gripping a paradox that was never there. It only looked like a paradox because I kept insisting the thing be a wave, or else a ball. Call it a ripple, and both halves are just an ordinary Tuesday.
Both halves are just an ordinary Tuesday. That's it, and I'll spend no breath improving on an ordinary Tuesday. The whole wave and particle war of the early weeks was 2 crowds shouting over an animal that neither had ever seen. One side swearing blind it swims, the other swearing blind it walks. And the animal is a duck. It does both, and it thinks nothing of it. You weren't confused because the world is contradictory. You were confused because I handed you 2 wrong words and made you pick one.
Then let me start spending this. Because you've a habit of one idea quietly paying 3 old debts, what does everything is a ripple actually buy me?
Let me hand you the first one, and it's a debt from only a few weeks back. Cast your mind to the night I told you that every electron in the universe is utterly identical. No serial number, no scratch, no way to tell one from the next, not even in principle. You found that merely strange. You ought to have found it flatly impossible.
I remember it. I remember thinking, well, they're all very alike, and letting it go. Why should it have stopped me cold?
Because think of the numbers of it. There are more electrons in the tip of your one finger than there are stars you could count in a lifetime of clear nights. Made in furnaces scattered across the whole of space and time. Born in different stars, in different fires, in this very room. And every last one of them is exact to every other, matched down past any decimal place you could ever chase them to. What kind of factory turns out that many things from that many places with not one flaw between the lot?
No factory could. Even the best struck coins differ if you look at them close enough. And you're telling me these don't differ at all? Not ever. Not anywhere. That isn't manufacturing.
It isn't manufacturing at all. And here's the answer. And I want you to feel this one land, because it's one of the most beautiful terms the whole picture makes. They are all identical, because they are all the same ocean. There are not trillions upon trillions of separate little electrons, each its own thing, mysteriously matched to all the others. There is one electron field, one ocean filling the universe, and every electron there has ever been is only a ripple upon it. Not many things matched, one thing showing its face in a trillion places.
Oh, say that again, slower, because I think it just went straight through me. There aren't a great many electrons that happen to match each other. There's one field, and electrons are just the places where it's rippling.
There's one field, and electrons are just the places it happens to be rippling. 2 ripples on the same pond are not 2 different things that happen to look alike. They're the same water doing the same thing in 2 places. Ask why one electron is identical to another, and it stops being a question, the very way the wave and particle fight stopped being one. Of course they're identical. They are the same ocean, heaved up here and heaved up over there.
So when I met that fact weeks ago and shrugged it off as merely strange, I walked straight past the clue. The identical electrons weren't a curiosity to file away. They were the field itself, waving at me, and I hadn't learned its name yet.
You hadn't learned its name yet. Now you have it. And it's the same story for every kind of particle there is. One ocean for each kind. Every photon is a ripple on the one light field, so any two photons of a color are identical. Sameness isn't a rule enforced from outside, it's built in, because there was only ever the one thing there.
It's almost a relief that, after 14 weeks, all course long you've been multiplying my strangeness. More particles, more rules, more things that shouldn't be. And this cuts the other way entirely. It says there are far fewer things than I feared. Not a swarm of separate specks, a handful of oceans, and everything else is weather on them.
A handful of oceans and everything else is weather. Hold on to that sentence. It's nearer the truth of the world than anything I've handed you all series. The universe is not a warehouse stacked with tiny separate parts. It's a few great fields laid one through another, and every star and stone and every version of you is a pattern of ripples running over them. There is far less furniture down there than ever you dreaded. There's just an awful lot of weather.
Then here's a thing that's nagged at me since the week we did atoms, and I never had the nerve to ask it straight. An atom, sitting in the dark, minding its own business, will suddenly throw out a flash of light, a photon, that was not there a moment before. Where does it come from? One instant, no photon. The next, a photon, sailing off across the room. You cannot make a something out of a nothing. So where had it been hiding?
It wasn't hiding anywhere at all. And that is the whole beauty of it. It needed nowhere to hide because it didn't yet exist, and it didn't need to. Think in ripples now, and the puzzle just opens like a hand. The light field is there the whole time, all through the atom, all through the room, lying flat. Calm. No photon simply means no ripple, only the still ocean.
And then the atom does something.
And then the atom does something, and a ripple lifts in that field where a moment ago it was flat. A swell rises up out of the calm, and a new ripple in the light field is a new photon. It wasn't stored somewhere and let out. It was raised. Made on the spot, the field lifted a swell where there had been none.
Meaning the photon isn't drawn out of some pocket at all. It's the field gets kicked, a wave stands up out of the flat, and that standing up itself is the making of the light.
That standing up itself is the making of it. This is all creating a particle has ever meant, once you can see the fields. Not conjuring a thing out of a true void, but raising a ripple in an ocean that was already lying there waiting. And it runs the other way just as easily. A ripple can sink back down and vanish into the flat. The swell subsides, the field goes calm, and the particle is simply gone.
Gone where?
Gone nowhere. Not moved off somewhere else. Gone. Unmade. Flattened back into the field it rose out of. Fields let their ripples be raised and let them fall again. All the making and destroying of particles you've heard of is nothing grander than oceans learning a wave, and then forgetting it.
And does the atom decide to do this? Choose its moment to throw the light? Or does it just happen to it?
It happens to it, on no schedule you could ever read in advance. The same roll of the dice that's haunted us all course. The field is simply able to lift that ripple, and given a little time, it will. You can say how likely, across many atoms. You can never say when, for the one. So no, the atom keeps no appointment book. It only holds a swell it is allowed to shed, and sooner or later, sheds it.
Now, I have to stop you because this is exactly the spot where a con would set up shop. Raise a ripple, get yourself a free photon. That sounds like something out of nothing wearing a cleaner coat. Where does the light's energy come from? You don't get a wave for free.
You do not, and you're right to frisk me here. It's the exact spot where the honest story and the swindle look alike for a second. Nothing is free. Cast your mind back to the atom itself. The electron in it sits on a rung, a level, and it can drop from a higher rung down to a lower one. When it drops, it sheds precisely the energy of the gap between those two rungs.
And that shed energy is what pays for the ripple.
That shed energy is exactly what pays for the ripple. The atom buys the photon, and it pays the full price by dropping a level. Not one scrap of energy is conjured out of the air. It's moved, off the electron's rung, into a fresh swell on the light field, and away it goes as light. The books balance to the last penny, the way they always do.
The photon's energy, then, never appeared from nowhere. It was handed over. The atom is poorer afterward by exactly the amount the light carries off.
Poorer by exactly that, to the penny. And that was Einstein's own insight, right at the start of all this, that light comes in lumps, in photons, each one carrying a set morsel of energy. It fits this picture like a key turning in its own lock. The lump of light is one ripple of the field. The energy inside it came straight out of the atom's account. The ledger shuts. Hold this the next time anyone tells you the quantum lets you get something for nothing. The fields let ripples be made and unmade freely, yes, but every last ripple is paid for out of some other ripple's pocket. The making is free. The energy never is.
And that's the same event, the atom emitting its light, that we did weeks back, and I thought I'd understood. Only then it was the electron drops a rung and out pops a photon, a tidy little happening. Now it's the light field itself standing up a wave, bought and paid for by the atom. The same event exactly. I just couldn't see the ocean it was happening on.
The same event, and now you can see the water under it. Everything you called a particle appearing or a particle vanishing, all course long. Every flash, every bit of light made or swallowed, was a ripple raised or lowered on one of these oceans, with the energy carried in from somewhere real and never once invented. Once you have the fields, where did it come from and where did it go, carry the same plain answer. It rose up out of the field. It sank back into the field. The field was always there.
Then here's where my own logic drags me next, and I'm not sure I like where it goes. If these oceans are everywhere, if they're there whether or not anything's rippling on them, then even the emptiest patch of space, a box with every last particle pumped out of it, still has the fields sitting in it. Lying flat, but there, which means there's no such thing as truly empty.
There is no such thing as truly empty. And you've just walked yourself into the strangest room in the whole house, and you got here on your own 2 feet. Empty space does not mean nothing is there. It means the fields are there, lying as flat as they are able to lie. No ripples riding them, no particles at all. The vacuum isn't an absence of things. It's an ocean at rest.
An ocean at rest. All right, that I can hold.
Then here's the question that breaks the room open. Can an ocean ever be perfectly, absolutely at rest? Utterly still, not a tremor in it.
I'd have said yes an hour ago without a thought. Now, with the way you've teed it up, I'm going to guess the answer is no. And I'm going to guess it's the same reason it always is with you.
It is the same reason it always is. The one from the night of the blur. Cast your mind back. A thing cannot have a perfectly definite position and a perfectly definite motion at the very same instant. Pin one down hard and the other flies wild. Well, the field feels that same law in its bones. For the field to lie perfectly flat and perfectly still, both at once, exactly, a definite flatness and a definite stillness together, is just the kind of double certainty the world flatly forbids.
So it can't do it. The field can never fully settle.
It's never allowed to fully settle. Even with every particle taken out, it trembles. A small, restless, unavoidable jitter, going on and on forever in every last patch of empty space there is. The nothing shivers.
So I ask you, what's inside an empty box? And the answer is an ocean that can't hold still. The one place in the whole universe where nothing whatever is happening, and it turns out to be shivering the entire time.
The one place where nothing is happening is shivering the entire time. And honestly, nothing has never once been so busy. That's the joke the vacuum plays on every single person who meets it. You empty the box completely. You pump out every particle. You cool it down as far as it will ever go. And you are left not with a dead, flat calm, but with a faint, ceaseless hum. The fields fidgeting because the law will not let them lie perfectly still. The emptiest possible place is quietly the busiest quiet there is.
Now, I want to be careful here because I can feel a bad idea forming under my ribs, and I'd sooner you kill it than have me carry it down the hill. If empty space is full of this restless jitter, this humming energy, just sitting there doing nothing, then can't I tap it? Reach a bucket into the nothing and draw the free energy out? That's the shape of every swindle I have ever heard in my life.
It is the shape of every swindle you've ever heard, and I'm glad you flinched, because I need you to carry this one down the hill perfectly straight. No, you cannot tap it. Now, the jitter is real. It is genuinely there, and it leaves fingerprints we can actually measure. Tiny, real effects on the world that would not happen at all if the vacuum were truly dead. That much is solid, established, not in doubt.
But
But it is the lowest the fields can go. It's the floor of the field. You cannot draw energy out of a thing that is already sitting at its own bottom. There's no lower rung beneath it to let it drop to and pocket the difference. Anyone who tells you the vacuum is a free tank of energy waiting to be siphoned off is selling you a lower than the lowest. And there is no such thing. The energy is there, and there is nowhere for it to fall to. So there's nothing to collect.
so it's real and it's the bottom, and the bottom is precisely the one thing you cannot fall off of, right, that I can hold on to and not be ashamed of it at the pub.
Real and unreachable, both at once. That's the honest shape of it, and I'll not round it up into a fairy tale, however much prettier the fairy tale sells. And one last caution, then I'll let the vacuum be. You'll hear people say empty space is full of particles flickering in and out of being, winking on, winking off all the time. Treat that as a way of talking, a bookkeeping picture for the field's restlessness. It is not a swarm of tiny balls popping into the room and out of it again. It's the ocean trembling, described in the only words we had to hand.
Don't buy the little balls, buy the trembling ocean.
Don't buy the little balls, buy the trembling ocean. That's the whole of it, kept honest.
Which means empty was never empty. It was the fields, lying as flat as the law will allow, and shivering because the law won't allow them any flatter. The nothing is just the oceans at their very quietest, and their quietest still hums.
Their quietest still hums, and always will, in every corner of the dark between the stars. That's your vacuum. Not a void, not an absence, not a held breath. A field at rest. And at rest, for these oceans, is not the same thing as still. It's the least motion the world will permit, which is not nothing and never can be. Even the nothing had to obey the blur.
You've tied off the identical electrons, and the light from nowhere, and now the busy vacuum, all from one idea. Is there more in it still, or have I had the whole harvest of it?
There's a stranger fruit yet on this tree, and it came before anyone went out looking for it. That's what makes it the thing I love best to tell. When physicists first wrote down the proper equations for a ripple on one of these fields, the ones that had to obey not just the blur, but Einstein's rules for fast things, for things moving near the speed of light, the equations refused to hand back just the electron.
Refused? What do you mean, refused?
They insisted, flatly, that if the field can carry the ripple you already know, then it must also be able to carry its exact opposite. A mirror twin. The same in every weight and measure, but reversed. The mathematics simply would not let you have the one, without the other coming along with it.
A mirror twin. So the field can't lift an electron ripple without being able to lift its reflection. And this fell straight out of the equations, before a soul had ever seen such a thing.
Before a soul had seen the faintest whisper of it. This was Dirac. He wrote the equation that married the quantum to Einstein's fast-moving world, and the equation just had a mirror sitting inside it. It described a ripple, and right there alongside it, its opposite ripple, entirely uninvited. He could have crossed the thing out and called it a smudge on the page.
But he didn't.
He didn't. He trusted the mathematics enough to say, then this other thing must be out there, really, somewhere. A twin of the electron, with its charge flipped clean over. And years on, out in the world, there it was. Antimatter. Predicted by a mirror sitting in an equation before a single one had ever been caught.
So the field never carries just the one kind of ripple. It carries a ripple and its opposite, always the pair. And the opposite ripple is a real thing you can go out and find, a particle's mirror.
Always the pair. And the mirror is every bit as real as the original. There's no sense in which the electron is the true one and its twin some copy. The field holds both on entirely equal terms. And now here comes the part that ought to raise the hair on your arm. Bring a ripple and its mirror ripple together, an electron and its twin meeting on the same field. What do you suppose a swell and its exact opposite do when they run into one another?
On water, they'd cancel. A crest meeting its matching trough, they flatten each other clean out, both of them gone, and the surface calm again where they met. Is that? Surely it isn't as simple as that.
It is exactly that simple, and exactly that violent. They cancel. The two ripples meet and they flatten each other back into calm field. Both particles gone, unmade, in a single instant. But they don't leave nothing behind them. All the energy that was bound up in those two swells, and by Einstein's reckoning, even their very mass is energy, mass and energy being two faces of the one coin. All of it has to go somewhere.
So where does it go?
It leaves as light. The matter field goes flat, and the light field lifts up a burst of ripples, carrying every last scrap of the energy away with it. Two specks of matter meet their mirror, and depart the world as a flash of pure radiation.
The mass itself then, the actual stuff of the two particles, that's what turns into the light, not just some energy they happen to be carrying around. The particles themselves are spent, converted, gone into the flash.
The particles themselves. That is the deepest cashing out there is of Einstein's old line that mass and energy are the same thing wearing different clothes. And here it is seen from the far side. A particle and its mirror twin are, between the two of them, a certain lump of energy tied up in the shape of two ripples. Untie the shape, let them cancel, and the energy comes back out as light to the last morsel, the books balancing as they forever do.
I'll be honest, that one unsettles me more than anything you've said tonight. Matter itself, not indestructible after all, it can just be paid back out as light. That's the ground going, right at the end.
I understand the flinch, but let the fear back down, because there's a mercy folded into it. A ripple can only cancel against its exact mirror, and the mirror is a rare, rare thing in a world made almost wholly of the one kind. Your hand will meet no twin of itself. You are in no danger of dissolving into a flash. What it tells you is gentler than it sounds. Matter is not a different, sterner substance than light. It's the same sort of thing, ripples on oceans, and under the right, rare meeting, the one can turn into the other. Not a threat, a family resemblance.
A family resemblance. All right, I'll let the ground back under me. And I take it this runs both ways, the way the ripples did. If a twin and its mirror can vanish into light, then light, with energy enough behind it, could
Could do the reverse, yes. Pour energy enough into the fields in one place, and you can raise a ripple and its mirror together. A particle and its twin, born as a pair straight out of light. Made and unmade, both directions, and always the pair, never the one alone. But I'll not wander us down that road tonight. It's a whole country of its own. Just hold the shape of it. The fields carry ripples and their mirrors. The two can cancel into light, and light can raise the two, and every crossing pays its energy in full. The mirror was in the mathematics before ever it was in the world.
Then I think I've had my finale, haven't I? Everything's a ripple. The ripples come quantized, one ocean for each kind. Ripples raised and ripples lowered. Mirrors that cancel back into light. That's a whole world, that is. What more can there be on the last night?
There's one thing more, and I have saved it for the very last on purpose, because it is the reason I wanted the last night for it. Everything I've told you this evening, I'll wager it feels like a new country. A strange, new bottom floor you'd never once set foot on before tonight. Fields, oceans, ripples, all of it new.
It does. It genuinely does. It feels like you've walked me somewhere I have never in my life been.
Then let me tell you where you actually are. You have stood here before. Cast your mind right out of this course, back to the other one. The one on electricity and magnetism you sat through before ever you first climbed this hill to me. Do you remember what you were taught there that the world was made of?
Of course I do. Fields, that was the whole language of it, start to finish. The electric field, the magnetic field, invisible things filling up the space around a charge, around a magnet. Lines of force, they called them. You could sketch them out, the arrows reaching away through empty space, and a compass or a charge dropped into them would feel them and move.
Lines of force. That was Maxwell's world, built up on what Faraday had first drawn. Those lines reaching out through empty space, the electric and the magnetic woven together into one single field that fills the room. And what did that course, at its very end, finally tell you light itself was?
A wave in that field. A ripple in the electric and magnetic field, travelling along. That was the great reveal at the close of the other course, that light is only a wave rolling through the electromagnetic field. Hold on.
That's the photon's ocean. Say it slowly to yourself. The electromagnetic field. Maxwell's field. The lines of force you drew with chalk in that other room. The thing you were taught carries light across space. Is the light field I have been pointing at all night long. It is the photon's field. The very same ocean. There are not two of them. The field out of that course and the field out of this one are one object, met from two sides.
Wait! The electric field. The one I met over in the other course. The lines of force, the little arrows, the thing the compass leans into. That is the thing you've been calling the light field all night. The one whose ripples are photons.
That is the thing exactly. You and it have already been introduced. You two have met. You shook the photon's ocean by the hand a whole course ago and never once knew its second name. Over there it went by the electromagnetic field, and its gentle waves went by light. Over here it goes by the field whose quantized ripples are photons. And they are the same waves, the same field, the same light. One course taught you the ocean, This one taught you that its ripples come in lumps. Nobody ever thought to tell you they were the same water.
So the compass on my own desk, the needle leaning on the lines of force.
Is dipping into the very ocean whose ripples are starlight. The self-same field. That gentle pull the needle feels, and the light crossing half the universe to reach your eye tonight are two things done by one ocean, a lean and a ripple on the same water. You have been touching the photon's field your whole life with a 5 and dime compass and calling it magnetism. The pull and the light were never two different powers. They were one ocean, felt two ways.
Light was already a field then, I knew that. I've known that since the other course. Light was a field the entire time.
Light was a field the entire time. That whole half was settled long before you ever met me. Here's what tonight adds to it. The half that closes the circle. It isn't only light. Matter is a field too. The electron, the stuff of you, the solid of your own hand. That's a field with ripples running in it, exactly as light is. The old course put light onto fields. This course, tonight, has put matter onto fields as well.
And once both of them are fields.
Once both of them are fields, the wall between them, light over on this side, matter over on that side, two utterly different sorts of thing. That wall just isn't there. It never was. Light and matter are the same kind of thing. Ripples, different oceans, but one idea.
Two courses then, never two subjects at all. They were two sides of the one hill. The electricity and magnetism climbing up toward the top from the light side. All of this quantum climbing up from the matter side, and they meet at the summit on the same single word.
On the same single word. Field. Two paths up one mountain, and I have watched you climb both of them without ever once seeing they'd fetch you out at the same summit. The other course took light and showed you it was waves in a field. This one took matter and showed you it was waves in a field. Stand up at the top now and look down, and it's all one country. Everything, light and matter alike, is ripples on oceans that fill the whole of space.
And Maxwell's lines of force, the arrows I drew as a student and took for a schoolroom cartoon, a picture to help the dull ones along, those were a drawing of the actual bottom of the world, the real ocean.
The actual ocean drawn in chalk before anyone alive knew to call its waves photons. Maxwell handed you the field and the light rolling on it. This course hands you the lump, that its waves come one whole ripple at a time, and hands you the matching news that you yourself are built of the very same kind of thing. The lines of force were never a cartoon. They were the first true map of the floor of the world. And it took both courses, climbing from both sides, to finally read it.
I feel the ground of this, I do. But say the honest thing now, you always do at the end, before you let me go down the hill. Is this the bottom? Is this the last floor at long last? Everything is fields, and that's the whole of it, forever and full stop.
No. And I would not send you down this hill for the last time, believing that it was. This, the fields, the ripples, the whole of it, is the deepest floor we have yet found to stand on. It is the language every last particle physicist speaks. It's the ground that the finest map of matter we've ever drawn is written upon. Nothing we know contradicts it. But it is not the final floor. And I'll tell you exactly how I know that.
Go on then. How do you know it isn't the last?
Because one thing will not come into the room. All of this, the fields, the ripples, the oceans filling space, it describes matter and light and all their goings-on beautifully. But gravity, the plain, everyday fact that things fall, that the earth holds you down to it, and the sun holds the earth to itself. Gravity has never yet been made to sit down inside this picture the way everything else has. We have not managed to write gravity as one more ocean among the others. It resists us. It won't come in. The finest picture we have of the world has a hole in it, exactly the shape of falling.
And a floor with one great thing left standing outside it.
Is not the bottom floor. There is another one underneath it, and we have not yet found the stairs down.
So it's the running joke of the whole course, right to the last minute of it. Every single time you showed me the floor, there turned out to be a floor beneath the floor. And even now, on the very last night, at the deepest bottom you've got, you're leaning over the fire to tell me there's still another one down under this one.
There's still another one down under this one. There always has been, every week, without fail, and there is even now. And I think, truly, that's the most honest thing this whole course could leave in your hands. Not a finished world, with every answer nailed flat to the wall. A world with one more floor beneath the floor, still dark, still waiting on someone. We have gone down further than anyone once dreamed there was to go. From a table that's mostly empty room, all the way to oceans that fill space, and we can still feel it, under our own boots, that it keeps on going. That is not a failure, that's the door left standing open. The finest thing I have to hand you, at the end of it all, is an unfinished world.
Does it not trouble you at all, spending your life going down and knowing you'll die before the bottom?
It would trouble me far more to think we'd reached it. A finished world is a world with the door shut and the lights off, and nothing left for anyone to climb toward. Give me the other kind, the one that keeps a floor in reserve, that keeps somebody, some cold morning after we're gone, coming up a hill in the dark because there's still one more thing to be shown. I don't need to see the bottom. It's enough to have felt it there, under my boots. That's not a sadness. That's the whole reason to keep going down.
An unfinished world. I'll take that over a finished one, and gladly. Then let me do the thing I always do, give you the arc of it back. Not every week this time, just the shape, because I want to say out loud where the two of us started.
Go on, give me the arc, one last time.
We started, back in week 2, at a wall with 2 slits cut in it. One electron fired at 2 gaps, and it went through both of them, spread out like a wave, made its bands of bright and dark on the screen beyond, and yet it landed on that screen as one small dot, one lump, in one single place. And I very nearly lost my mind over it. Wave or ball, which one? I demanded you tell me which, week after week after week. And tonight, on the last night, you finally answered the fool I was standing at those 2 slits. Neither. It was a ripple. It spread through both gaps because that's what ripples do, and it landed in one lump because that ocean only ripples in whole lumps. The thing I couldn't put a name to for 14 weeks had a name the whole time. A ripple in a field.
The fool at the 2 slits answered at last. That's the arc. From a single dot on a screen that had no business making sense, to an ocean filling the universe that makes sense of it. You didn't spend 14 weeks gathering up 14 separate strange facts. You spent them walking, step by step, down to this one floor, where the strange facts all turn out to be the same fact. Everything is ripples in fields, seen from 14 different sides. One floor, 14 windows onto it.
And I came in that first cold morning, thinking I'd learn what small things are made of. Little bits, the tiniest bricks in the wall. And I'm walking out told there are no bricks at all. There's only weather, on a few great oceans. And I'm some of the weather.
You are some of the weather. Let me say the whole of it plainly, since it's the last thing I get to say to you before the door. You, the you sitting here by my fire, warm, particular, dead certain you're a solid thing, are a pattern of ripples. Standing waves, held in one shape for a little while, riding on fields that fill the entire universe, out past every star there is. The same oceans that ripple, in one place, into light, ripple, in another place, into you.
A pattern of ripples. held in shape for a little while.
Held in shape for a little while. And that little while is not a sadness. It's the whole wonder of the thing. The ripple keeps its shape, and then one day the field goes calm again, and the pattern that was you rejoins the ocean it never truly left in the first place. Nothing is lost that was only ever weather. You were the universe, standing up briefly in the shape of someone who wanted to know what it was made of. And you found out. It's made of you, and of light, and they were the same thing all along. That is not a small thing to have found out on a cold walk up a hill.
You have never once let me leave without the honest folding of the sheets. What it was we didn't do. So fold them this last time, and then I think we have to say the other thing.
The sheets then, and I'll keep them short, because it is the last night. I never showed you the machinery, how one ripple truly pushes upon another, the real working under the field gets kicked. I gave you the picture of it, never the arithmetic, and there is a lifetime of arithmetic under it. I did not build you gravity's ocean, because no one yet has. And I named a mirror in an equation, and a grain in the fields, and pointed you at the door that all of particle physics walks through, what the physicists call the standard model, without ever taking you one step past the doorframe. Bones again. The whole course at the end was bones, the true skeleton of it, and none of the flesh. But I gave you no bone that was false. That much I can swear to you.
No bone that was false, that's the only thing I ever asked of you. And you kept it, 14 weeks running. Then, there's no next week this time, is there? That's the thing we've both been walking around the edge of all evening. There's no door for you to leave unturned tonight.
No door left unturned. And no next week. This is the one where I don't send you back up the hill hungry. For 14 weeks I've slipped you a teaser and shut the door and left you to stew on it. Tonight I've kept nothing back. You have the whole shape of it now, from the first cracks in the old clockwork all the way down to the oceans. There's no cliffhanger waiting at the end of the world, just the fire, and the two of us, and the thing itself, said at last.
Then I'll say the thing that's been sitting in my chest the whole climb up through the dusk. Thank you. 14 weeks I came up this hill, cold and cross, and dead sure the world was solid under my boots. And you took it apart in front of me so gently, I hardly felt the ground go. And then, tonight, you set a deeper ground back under me than the one you'd lifted away. I'll not pretend I hold all of it, but I climbed up here to be shown what everything is made of, and I'm walking down knowing. It's fields, it's ripples, on oceans of field, all the way through the middle of me and out to the last star in the sky. I will never look at an empty room the same way again as long as I live.
Then it did the thing it was for. Go carefully down in the dark. You know the path by heart now, cold or no cold. And when you reach the bottom, and you stop and look up at all that black between the stars, remember it isn't empty. It never once was. It's the oceans lying as still as they're ever allowed to lie, humming to themselves, full to the brim with everything that could ever be. Good night, and thank you for the climbing. It's a poorer hill without a soul to show it to.
Good night. I'll look up on the way down, at the busy nothing, and the oceans, and the light that's only the same field, waving. And I'll think, there I am, out there too, in the whole of it. One more ripple that got, for a little while, to wonder what it was made of, and, for one last night by your fire, got itself told. Good night, my friend, and thank you for the whole long climb.